If you're looking for the best scope rings, here's a list you must see. We made this list based on our personal preference and sorted it based on their features, prices, quality, durability, and reputation of the manufacturers and customer feedback. Also, we've included options for every type of customer. So let's get started. At the first position of our list, we have Weaver Modkins. These rings and interracial bases are designed to set into a Weaver-style Picatinny rail. This makes the ring and base system about as easy to install as you can get while knowing that the setup will lock the scope in place securely. These rings have a built-in tap strip to assure you that the rings will not damage your scope tube when installed. Installing the system uses single heavy-duty claw clamps and nuts. Rail install time is very short and accurate. I often use this system when testing several rifles at once with a single optic. Switch off from rifle to rifle is a snap. In terms of scope ring height, I like the high-profile types as they tend to fit any size bell housing. Very few of my rifles never see a switch in optics, the illustrated Model 70 Winchester notwithstanding. A single note here. I would not use these rings as a go-to system for massively heavy recoiling rifles. Rifles like the 338 Leupold require more stiffness, more screws, and far higher grade steel so they can endure massive stress conditions under fire. Moving on to the next at number 2 with Nikon Black Cantilever. Nikon is offering a heavy-duty full one-piece rail and ring set designed for 3rd scope tubes on bigger long-distance rifles that will deliver some stiff recoil and additional strain. This combination mount, base and rings retains a 20 MOA base in the Weaver style that gives the scope an additional 20 MOA beyond the normal elevation obtained with subtensions and turret adjustments. This ring system uses quad sets of screws for additional strength and current CNC construction. Additional lapping is not required with these higher-end quality optic systems. Mil-spec hex nuts on the base clamps will accept 65 pounds of torque. This means the scope mounting system will take on rifles and cartridges like the big 338 Leupold while not busting loose screw heads and ring mounts due to excessive recoil. I know this drill well, as I have had scopes almost come off a rifle due to recoil when shooting heavy rounds during 1 mile or more ultra-long range shoots. While this unit is not for everyone, it will meet the needs of shooters that are into their heavy caliber rifles to be sure. The number 3 position is held by Nikon Black Precision Scope Ring. Much like the previous Nikon mount, this system is based on a standard level base system, but as a one-piece unit. It eliminates extra pieces of metal and screws. Every screw increases the possibility of failure. Less of them means a better chance of your system hanging together under hard use. The dual integral rings produce maximum scope contact, and the hex head nuts will handle 65 N/lb of torque. Top-end caps use #8 torque-style fasteners with non-slip steel inserts. Next at number 4, we have Warne Quick Detach Rings 201 LM. Warne rings and their indexable lever system makes these rings well designed as a quick detachable system. The design again uses Weaver rails or bases, making them universal in terms of applied applications. Be advised by a professional hunter, ballistics review writer, and overall shooter. I use Warne one-piece and individual rings on a number of my working rifles and slug shooting shotguns. These rings make use of what the manufacturer calls their recoil control key, which on some individual ring setups can be a problem with heavy recoiling rifles. The 1-inch rings make these very workable for most deer hunting style scope applications that don't require oversized rings or added strength due to heavy custom wildcat rounds or big factory loads. The number 5 position is held by Warne Gen 2 Extended, because the AR-15/M16 flat-up makes use of such a low Weaver-style rail when it comes to mounting optics. The use of a raised-style cantilever is the perfect solution when bringing the scope high enough against the shooter's cheek when sighting. Again, I run these mounts on several AR and even one of my Savage 110 well-dressed long-distance 6.5 Creedmoors. It is this system or a block riser that is required for AR-15-style receivers. Depending on the job at hand, I use both risers and this illustrated mount. The number 6 position is dominated by Burris Optics PEPR. Burris is offering an optics mount that has become very popular of late with the chassis rifles, AR-15 platforms, and additional long-distance, extended receiver rail applications. These bases and mounts are a one-piece cantilever-type system that simply locks onto your Weaver-style rail with 2 large bolt/knobs. This base setup offers the ability to obtain the complete setup in a 1" through 3" ring sizing, and also obtain a 20 MOA angle top plate so as to allow an increase in elevation when shooting longer range targets. The ring tops have secondary rail mounts for the addition of night sights, red dots, spotlights, or laser ranging and sighting systems. Burris is a scope/ring line that I retain here at Ballistics Research, and as such, I know full well the quality of the product. This is simple, very flexible, and well made. The cost is very affordable when considered by the average shooter as well. I have mounted this system with a test scope, and after a time removed it, then installed the exact same setup on another rifle. The zero change has never been greater than 3 MOA. That would allow for changes in rail machining tolerances. Moving on to the next at number 7 with Vortex Optics Precision Match Rifle Scope Rings. Making a move towards still higher end rings and bases, Vortex offers the Precision Match Rifle Scope Rings, and now the manufacturing methods have jumped to yet another level. Materials are top grade across the board and are offered as 30mm, 34mm, and 35mm tube sizes. These rings are in the playpen with the big boys and are retailed for professional use or the hunter who wants the very best the manufacturer can offer. These rings are built as pairs and are precision cut, then detailed to exactness for the shooter. As to exactly where and when do these types of rings see service, it is when the target at the other end is trying to kill you or someone else, or the new sport of ultra-long range shooting comes forward and demands the best for the 1 or 2 mile shot. The short answer is that you don't buy a $3,000 with change scope then put a $30 set of rings on it. These rings use USA 7075 6-billet aluminum and hold to tolerances of under 5. This is done using computerized cutting methods. The number 8 position is held by Leupold dual Dovetail bases and rings. Here is a move toward a base and ring setup that is now Weaver designed, but uses the receiver holes drilled at the factory for a hunting rifle, and when the rings are mounted by way Dovetail twist system. Friction, if you like. Here the use of a wooden dowel aligns the rings after they have been set into the Dovetail notch. The system is rock solid, but very different from the current trend in base and scope ring attachment. I've used this system since the 1960s. When installation is complete, these are very strong mounts that will hold up for almost ever. These are low-profile mounts and are designed for standard bell-size scopes on hunting rifles. I currently use this system on a 22-250 Remington Model 700 heavy varmint rifle, a Winchester Model 70 22-250 light carry varmint rifle, and a Remington Model 7 carbine weatherfighter and 243 Winchester. These rings and bases are best set up as non-removable units on a long-haul personal rifle. The rings and bases are forged and machined steel, built for very hard use, as in big game hunting applications in rough country and weather conditions. Next at number 9 we have AccuShot Picatinny/Weaver Medium Profile. This ring setup is an example of budget rings that are workable on light recoiling firearms and air gun systems. Be advised that in many cases, these setups work out just fine in the budget base price range. However, also understand that they are not high-end units and, as such, are not made from better grade steel, etc. I run some of these for both their cost factor and ease of use when testing firearms. As I run about 30 sets of scope rings per year on test rifles, there are times that I can't afford to place the basic $100 rings and bases on every rifle in service around the shop and range. AccuShot rings are not fancy, but I found that if I don't turn them to hard during install and take care of them when changing them out on different rifles, I can get a reasonable amount of working time out of them before an issue sets in. One thing I do like is the use of quad screw setups on the rings. Also, the head design is very workable for drawing them down tightly without breaking a screw head or jamming up a slotted screwdriver style head. Finally, the number 10 position is dominated by Leupold standard 2-piece rings and base set. In some cases, moving away from Weaver bases can be an advantage, and I use these Leupold 2-piece ring and base systems on my Weatherby turn bolt rifles that, God willing, will never need to see new scope over their lifetime with me. This manufacturer's rings use a lock system that is a bit more involved in terms of correctly installing them. The rings are designed to withstand extreme recoil. When installing them, a 1-inch wooden dowel aligns the rings to the bases. They are turned into place on a key in the ring base and retainer bases. Rings and bases need to be purchased by rifle receiver design. For example, the Remington Model 700 is going to use a totally different mounting screw pattern to the Winchester Model 70. You must know what you're buying these rings for, This manufacturer's two-piece ring and base systems are also available for both right and left-hand actions, as well as both long and short throw receivers and best bolt action 308 rifles. That's all for today. We upload product review videos every single day, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for the upcoming video notification.